Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead. We're out here in our skinning and our butchering room. This video I promised y'all I was going to put up. What we did was, we don't have a pig quite yet ready to butcher, so I went to town and ordered a pork belly and got it in. So what I've done is I took my time and took my knife and I cut the skin off, because I have learned here at our place at Deep South that when the skin is on it, you really don't get all the smoke flavor into it that you like, because the skin stops the smoke from penetrating the bacon as deeply as I like it to penetrate it. So I took the skin off and discarded it, and it left me with two equally 5-pound pieces of meat, which is the perfect weight that you want to work with. Now what I did with these two bellies is, okay, the next thing we did was we take a regular, just a plastic bowl like this. Now take plain old Morton kosher salt, and it's not ice cream salt now. This is kosher salt, it's a finer grain. I take 1/2 cup of the kosher salt, and with that in the bowl, I mix 1 cup of plain light brown sugar. This you just buy this is Walmart, Great Value brand, doesn't really matter. Just 1 cup of light brown sugar into the bowl with the salt. Then I'm going to show you 2 different kinds of pink salt. Now when I'm talking about pink salt, I'm not talking about Himalayan salt. I'm talking about meat curing salt. Now what I'm going to do is, I have 2 different types here that I'm going to let you look at. Okay, this particular one here I bought to show y'all. This is called Instacure #1 from a company called Sausage Maker. This one and the one I bought at the local butcher are both exactly the same kinds of salt. It's just that through a company it's called Instacure #1, and through the butcher it's just called pink salt. They're both curing salt. With the mixture that we put in the bowl of the 1/2 cup of kosher salt, the 1 cup of brown sugar, you mix 1½ teaspoons of the pink salt to every 5 pounds of bacon that you have. You put this mixture in a bowl, and I took my hands and I mixed it all up, and what I done was I took a handful of it and I put it on top of the bacon. And you want to rub it really good on the tops and on the sides and everything. I did this on a big piece of white paper I had on the table here, and then I flipped it over and I rubbed it again. And you can actually do this in a plastic tote. If you have a plastic meat lug or something like that, or a stainless steel pan, works great in that. That way you don't lose any of your salt or your sugar, and you can just keep rubbing it in the meat and keep rubbing it in the meat. And when you get through, I buy these are 2-gallon Ziploc bags. I've found that they work better, and there's no sense in buying the bags for freezing. These are just storage bags, because we're only going to leave the bacon in here for 7 days. And what you do is, every day you flip the bacon over to make sure that the cure goes completely through it. A lot of places I've talked to, the butcher shops, they tell me they don't do that, but I personally flip this over every day to make sure that the cure gets all the way through. Now we use a refrigerator that we have out here in our shop to keep these in, because you want to keep the temperature down around 35 to 37, 38 degrees, you know, somewhere in that area while you're curing, and we have the refrigerator set at that. Now, I marked my bags. This is the date on the top of them that I did it, 11/19/16. I put the date on one side of the bag. This side has been up for 24 hours. What I'm fixing to do is take them back to the refrigerator and flip them over. That way I never lose track of which side of the bacon that I have up or that I have down. The marking on the bag helps me to keep up with it. I put both of them up one day, both of them down the next day. Okay, we're at day 7. Let me back up a little bit on what I said earlier. If you leave the skin on the bacon slabs, then you need to go 7 to 8 days with your curing process. When you cut the skin off, you can actually do it in 4 or 5 days. We went 7 days without the skin because it was the Thanksgiving holidays, and we just didn't have time with everything that was going on. So ours may be a little bit saltier than what it normally should be, but we're going to try to alleviate that a little bit this morning. Now we're going to show you, we've taken our bacon out of the refrigerator. Remember, we turned it every day. We turned it, and you see all this juice in the bottom of it that's piled up here. That's all the juice that's come out of this bacon here. Now, what I'm gonna do is open it up. Get in here and get a hold to it. We're gonna bring it out. I'm gonna turn it around. I'm going to sit here and run it underneath the faucet here for just a second. Kind of wash any excess sugar or salt on the outside of it off. And what we're going to do next, after we get that point done, let it drain just a second. I'm going to move it over here. Now this is kind of lukewarm water. I've learned over the years that if you let bacon soak in lukewarm water for a little while, it takes a lot of that excess salt out of it. Now, this is what I was telling you about how much moisture come out of the bacon in that bag there. Now we'll just, that's got sugar and salt in. I'm just going to pour it down the sink. And we're going to bring it over. Put in here and make sure both of them's kind of submerged under that lukewarm water. Alright, since we've washed them, we've laid them over here in lukewarm water for about 10 to 15 minutes, because what that does is that the lukewarm water will kind of take any sugar or any salt that's on the extremities of it and kind of melt it off or it'll fall off in the water. We're going to take them out one at a time. Let some of this water drain off of them. Just a minute there. Now we're going to move them over to a cookie sheet. From this cookie sheet, we're going to take some paper towels and we're going to try to pat some of this moisture off, because what you're trying to do at this process is you're trying to make sure that your bacon is as dry as possible at this point. That's why we'll take paper towels and I try to dry them as well as I can. Get as much moisture off before we go to the next process. Okay, the next thing I do after I've kind of dried it off with a paper towel is I take my bacon hanging hooks and I go to the meat side of it. Now, not the fat side, but the meat side. And I try to stick these hangers in here at least 1.5 inches to 2 inches below the top of the bacon, so that I get a good firm hold on it, because what happens is if you don't do that, the bacon sags in the middle and you get a U-shaped piece of meat hanging there. So I like to make sure this bacon hook gets in there real good. Then I'll take it, and what we do is, the next step of this is to let this bacon hang at room temperature for about an hour and air dry. And what we're going to do, being it's like 5 o'clock in the morning here. Alright, we've got this one hanging. We hang it from the cabinet doorknob there. It's letting it kind of air dry for the next hour. And then after that, we'll show you the next phase of it. Okay, y'all, we're out here at the smokehouse now. We've got our bacon here. We've been letting it hang for about an hour. We're going to be hanging it in the smokehouse here. We've got a fire going right now. You mainly want heat to start with. You're not necessarily wanting so much smoke up front. We're going to be hanging it right over the pipe where it comes up at. Got our other one here. Now let it hang there. It's getting good and dry. We got a fire going in the thing around here, but mainly, like I said, you mainly want heat at the beginning, and once you get heat and kind of get it dried off real good, then you want to move up to your smoke. And that's what we've got. We just got a heat fire going right now. We're going to be closing the door, letting the heat temperature start building up in there. You can already see the smoke coming off of the bacon in there. Mainly because it's so cool out here, and I've had a fire going in here trying to heat this building up. Okay, what I have here, these are all my red oak. I have red oak on the back side. This is all apple here. We're going to be using red oak today to smoke our bacon because we like apple bacon and we like red oak bacon, but we have some people right now who are interested in red oak bacon, and so are we. These are basically just limbs that we have taken down off of our property here. Out of the red oak trees. And what I do is, you'll notice I got a fire going in here, a good bed of coals. And right now, like I said, I'm just trying to trying to create heat, so I use these small limbs because they burn kind of hot and pretty fast. We're trying to get us a good bed of coals so we can start smoking in a minute. We give it just a minute, you'll be able to see the smoke will start rolling out of the smokehouse here before long. Okay, right now we're running at 90 degrees. We're going to try to get it up to about 135 because that's what I like to smoke at. It kind of gets the internal temperature of the bacon about 100 to 110 degrees, and we're going to see if we can make that happen here. Okay, we've got the smokehouse up to about 150 right now, and we're going to start backing off on the heat and try to smoke it at about 135. Alright, we've got a good smoke rolling in the smokehouse now. You can see it's coming out real good. Got the temperature where we want it. Bacon's been going about 30 minutes now, so we're ready to keep the smoke rolling. Boy, it sure does look good on a cool morning out here this morning to see that smoke rolling like that. That just tells us that we're getting a good smoking on that bacon here in our old smokehouse. You kind of tell it's an old-fashioned one I built. We got the wood here, and there's the fire pit round back. Around here where you can actually see the smoke coming out of it pretty good. Yeah. Nothing like smoking bacon on a cold morning. Okay, we're an hour into it now, and we still got the smoke rolling, so we got about 4 more hours to go and we'll take the bacon out. Alright, we've let the smoke die down, we've let the smokehouse, get a little cooled off, and we're gonna go ahead and take our bacon out and get a look at it. Got it here, let me get around here. Check this temperature and just see what we've got. Okay, I was looking for 135 degrees and we are 150. So we are there. 152, it's actually cooked. So we're pretty close to being cooked. So that's what we were looking for an internal temperature. Alright, here we go. It's kind of hot. Maybe I can. Alright, you can see we didn't lose much fat out of it. I'm really surprised. We must have had some good, the smoking temperature was kind of low, so we didn't really drip much fat out of it, which means the bacon should remain real juicy. I'm kind of glad to see that. Alright, right now we're going to leave the bacon hangers in here. What I'm doing is I'm running cool water in here on the bacon. It's pretty hot right now. I'm trying to make sure that we get it submerged in water. What I'm going to be doing is actually washing the bacon off and getting some of the smoky residue off the outside of it, so that whenever I leave it hanging to dry, it'll be clean, because that smoke will get on it. And I'll just take this cool water. This also helps to cool the internal temperature of the meat back down. I'll take my hands and just run over it and try to rub off as much of the old smoke leaves a residue on it, and I like to get that off of my bacon. Okay, y'all, we've washed the bacon now. We've got it up here hanging on my cabinet knob. As you can see, it's nice and mahogany colored. Move over. Get focused in here. There we go. We've got the other side of the bacon hanging here. Up from the knob. We've got pans under it. And what we're going to be doing, a pan under this one. And we've got a pan under this one. We're going to be letting them hang to dry at room temperature for 2 hours before we actually put them in the refrigerator to set overnight. And once they set overnight, tomorrow morning we'll get up and we will slice our bacon, because it will be what they call in the hard stage at that point. Okay, the bacon's been hanging now for 2 hours. You can see the difference in the texture of it. How it looks kind of it's dry and stiff looking. See that one, and you move over here to this one. You can kind of notice it's just kind of dried off now. We're going to take it and put it in the refrigerator till tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow morning we're going to slice it into bacon. Alright, y'all, we're here in the skinning room this morning. We're showing you the slab of bacon that we took out. We've you can see in the background right here, I've already this was kind of uneven from hanging in the smokehouse, so I cut off all these pieces here. These can be cooked up for bacon also, or you can use them for seasoning beans or whatever. And then I kind of started cutting off till I got it down to where it's a good smooth line across here. You can see where the bacon hanger punched holes through it here, but that'll all cut out in the bacon. But that's how I get started. And you want to make sure that you cut it in the right direction. You want to make sure you cut it across the grain and not with the grain. If you cut it with the grain, it will be tough and you can't hardly chew the stuff up. So you want to make sure you go in the right direction across the grain. Now, I'm going to take this and I'm going to show you. Now, my bacon slicer is not a large one, and we have to kind of I guess you'd say manipulate it a little bit. So I'm going to turn it on here and show you a little bit of how I do it. I stand it up on its end like this because this is as far back as the table will go, and it's just not wide enough for the bacon. I'll push it down, then I take the table and I push it on through. It's mainly made for cutting deli meat more than it is what I'm doing with it, but we use it for alternate reasons. Now I'll stop here in just a second and show you. I don't cut my bacon real thick, because if you cut it thick, you're not going to be able to cook out a good crispy bacon. Now I'll stop, kind of show you a little bit about. This is the bacon here, and it's not real thick. If you cut this bacon thick, like I said, you can't get crispy bacon out of it. It gets kind of tough feeling. So when I stack my bacon, I know it takes a little time to do these things, but when you'll appreciate it whenever you get ready to take it out of the freezer or something. Yeah, when you start wrapping, it makes it a whole lot easier. I'll just go ahead and stack mine up, because I like it to be, you know, and I'm not worried about something that looks like it comes out of a grocery store, because that really don't mean anything to me. But that bacon there, is nothing wrong with that bacon there. It looks fine. We're going to slice a little bit more. Don't get in a big hurry. One thing you want to make sure is the bacon is chilled enough. If it's not chilled enough, it won't cut right. Don't force it, just take your time. If you notice that your bacon happens to get where it's not cutting good, stop, put it back in the freezer, let it kind of chill down being in the freezer for a few minutes. Now I like to also put my fat on my bacon toward the top when I'm slicing. If you put it toward the bottom, it has a tendency to pull. Okay, this is the scales that we use here. And Wanda, what she does is she sets a plate on top of it, and she adjusts it back to where it says 0, so we make sure we get an accurate measurement on it. Then she takes the plate and she comes over. This is all the bacon we got here out of that one slab here. I want y'all to look at that, how pretty that bacon is. And she brings it from here back over, and she sets on it, and let's see, what do you have?
1 pound.
Wow, you did pretty good. You got that one right on a pound. She's done this enough, she's about got good at it. And hang on here a minute, let me get around.
I used to do this.
She used to do this in their own little meat slaughtering place that they had, so she's quite familiar with doing this. She's a lot better rapper than I am.
He's not a rapper.
You're not a rapper?
Nope.
Oh, cool. Okay. We put them in 1 pound packs because that's the way we like it. 1 pound will last us probably a week or better, so it works out better for us that way. It doesn't end up staying in the refrigerator too long. She rolls it up. Oh, and in the background, y'all notice this tape dispenser? This was a gift from one of our subscribers. That y'all will never know what a blessing that has been for us.
And then we write on it.
And then she writes on it what it is, the date, because that's very important that you get this on here. This is before you write that on there. This is red oak smoked bacon. Because we do apple bacon. We do different types of woods on our bacon, and I always like to write on the pack which oak or which wood we used whenever we smoked that particular pack of bacon. But this is, get around here where we can see. This is what it looks like. Red oak, we put smoked bacon, was done with red oak, 11/26/16. That's what one of our packs look like here, and this is the tape dispenser. Love this thing, y'all. This has been a blessing to us. And Eric, this is for you, my friend. This is the Cabela's meat grinder that we use. I noticed Eric was using from Life in the Farmland, was using the exact same one. He said his was, I want to say it was either 11 or 16 years old, and was still working like a brand new one. So Eric, we just got this one, so I'm praying that ours lasts as long as yours does, buddy. Okay, let's move back around. I want to mention in the back here, yeah, and that part right in there, that will be for beans and soups and stuff like that. That's just squaring the end of the bacon off. A lot of people do this squaring off before they actually smoke the bacon. We don't do that because we smoke the whole slab and then we cut all these pieces off, and that way we've not wasted any of the meat. We use it for seasoning beans and stuff like that.
Even that I fry.
Yeah, Wanda cooks that stuff for bacon too, but the little smaller giblets we'll use for soups and beans and stuff like that. But just a little tidbit there to tell you not to square your bacon up necessarily before you start smoking it and all, because you lose all this seasoning meat out of it. Okay, we're fixing to get the next slab and see if we can get it going. I'm going to take a moment here and show y'all, if grid goes down, how I slice bacon by hand. But before I do, I need to make sure that my knife is good and sharp. There's one thing I hate, it's using a dull knife. I know a lot of people use the stones, the rods and stuff like that. I'm not a big advocate of it. You know, I mean, if you want to keep one, that's fine. If that's what you like doing, I don't have a problem with it. This is a particular knife here that's probably my favorite knife of all of them. It's I don't know if you can get where you can see it. It's made by Remington, the same company that makes guns. Probably the best knife for doing what I do that I've ever actually bought. It's a jam up knife for doing this type of stuff. Actually, another good knife I can tell you for cutting bacon, and I do have one up here that I used to use all the time. That's a fish fillet knife. You actually want the thinner edge when you're doing this. Now, one of these knives right here, one of these makes a fantastic knife for you know, for skinning or for slicing bacon, I should say. They do a real good job, you know, because they're used for filleting meat and stuff like that. I use them for that. You can see I keep an array. I keep 2 of every kind of knife stuck up here. And I do have the sharpening rods here. I do use them occasionally. It's not like I don't use them. Lay that back up there. And you also notice I have a stainless glove here that you can put on your hand to keep you from cutting yourself, which I never had that problem, but I do have it here in case I have somebody else in here who's a little bit nervous or something. I'll let them put that on. But I flipped this stone over because this stone has a finer side on the other side. And people talk about different angles on sharpening a knife. With me, I've just done it so much, I don't know that there's a particular angle that I prefer. I always check my knife when I get through. I'll take a piece of this wax paper here, a freezer paper, just to see if it's where I want it at. And if it'll cut through the paper, then I'm okay. I don't have a problem with it. It's fine enough to cut bacon with. Now in a grid down situation, you want to make sure your meat is as stiff as you can get it. And normally I won't have metal underneath this. I would have something else that's softer, but this is just for purposes of showing y'all. You know, the stiffer the bacon is, the easier it cuts. And I've learned that if I just make long, smooth cuts, that I do a lot better. As a matter of fact, there was many years there people asked me what kind of equipment I use to slice my bacon with, and I'm cutting real easy because I don't want to push down into that metal and dull my knife. This is just for purposes of showing y'all. But you can see, you can cut just as pretty a pieces of bacon by hand as you do with the machine. It's just that the machine is just so much faster to use. Alright, what I want to show y'all is the particular angle that I'm cutting this at. This is a thick slab of meat here. A lot of times, if you cut this meat straight down, it'll have a tendency to be tough. Even though we're cutting it across the grain, I will angle the meat up on it like this right here, and I will cut it at an angle, which makes it even more tenderer than it is if you just cut it like square down on it here. I'm cutting it back at an angle this way, and you see this is one big thick chunk of bacon meat here, and we're going to be cutting a lot of bacon out of that one. It's going to be pretty wide, as you can notice back here in the back how wide some of those pieces of bacon are there. Some of them's up to 2 inches wide. And just for a heads up, Tommy from Off Grid Nation, this is an official invite for you to Deep South Homestead. You said that you hadn't been invited. I'm officially inviting you, and we have bacon here. We can fry it for you. This is home smoked from Deep South Homestead and home cured at Deep South Homestead. So if you want to taste real bacon, come here and check out our bacon. Okay, this is a result of cutting your bacon on the angle that I was showing you there. I'm trying to get out of the light here. Some of this bacon is up to 3 inches wide. I know it may be a little hard to tell on the camera, but this stuff is huge. It turned out to be some very nice bacon. You can see I got long fingers, and some of that bacon's pretty long, pretty wide, should I say. But that's the result of cutting it at the angle that I was talking about cutting it at. Now I'm gonna move over here and show you Wanda's still in the process of, she's still wrapping away. Getting our bacon ready to go in the freezer.
This is going to take their wider.
The wider bacon won't take as much to weigh
Almost.
out. It'll be a smaller pack. Yeah, the wider bacon won't take as much of it to make a pack. Y'all look at that bacon.
Isn't that awesome?
Look how wide that bacon is. You don't find bacon like that in a store. Only homemade bacon.
From Deep South.
From Deep South Homestead. I wish y'all could smell this room in here. It smells, it's like I'm gaining weight just sitting here.
Wait till I fry some in a few minutes.
Man. That's some awesome looking stuff. Good deal. All right, we're going to show y'all the next phase we do here in just a little while.
You can't get breakfast any better than this Deep South way. I have bacon that we cured and smoked, homemade bread with my canned butter, coffee with honey, and this is a huckleberry jam, a huckleberry jelly that I made. Doesn't get any better than Deep South Homestead breakfast. Thank you from Deep South Homestead.